Am I audible? Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah. Morning. We can start.
Good morning, all. We begin now. I welcome you all to this webinar on engineering education and employment prospects post COVID-19. We begin now. Again, welcome all. I request Mr. Gurunagendra GR, Associate Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, to welcome all the participants. Over to you, sir.
Hi everyone. Good morning. Today we are with us Mr. Praveen Kamath Kumbla, who is going to deliver a webinar on engineering education and employment prospect post-COVID. I welcome you, sir, to this webinar. Respected Dr. N. Rana Pratap Reddy, Principal, Global Academy of Technology and Chief Convener for this webinar. Dr. T. Krishna Rao, Head of the Department, Mechanical Engineering, Global Academy of Technology. Professor Mageshwaran, Head Training and Placement, Global Academy of Technology. I welcome you all, sir, to this webinar on engineering education and employment prospects post-COVID-19. I also take this opportunity to welcome the co-convener, Mrs. Dakshayani, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, and our team, Mr. Ravi Kirti and Mr. Ranjit PK, both Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, who have tirelessly worked to get this webinar done. Over to you, Ranjit.
Thank you for the welcome, sir. I now request Mr. Mageshwaran, Department Head, Placement and Training, to share his thoughts on this.
Thank you very much, sir. It is my privilege and honor to be part of this webinar initiated by the Mechanical Engineering Department. I thank all the organizers for having invited me and also for the initiation that they have taken to organize this event. We are very much happy to look forward to listen to our resource person, esteemed Mr. Praveen Kamath, the General Manager and HR at Global Delivery Wipro Limited. I had listened to his speech quite some time back, and it was very eye-opening and encouraging. I hope that all the participants at the end of this session, you have a lot of takeaways. So my request to all the participants is this: while you listen to this webinar, you sit and listen with pen and a sheet of paper, because there are a lot of takeaways for you so that you can make a note of that, and then later on you can plan for implementing those things which will be presented to you through this webinar. The world order has disrupted. The entire world is disrupted now. The purpose of life, the passion of life, the priorities of life have changed. Drastically, it has changed in the present scenario. And this changed scenarios have thrown new challenges. And also along with these new challenges, there are hidden opportunities. So the very purpose of this webinar is to explore, to encourage you to explore the hidden opportunities that are hidden through these new challenges that you and I are facing because of this COVID-19. The old saying goes like this: education must lead to enlightenment, and this enlightenment must give rise to empowerment, and the empowerment must lead to radical transformation in a person. So if a radical transformation is brought in a person, no matter what challenges we face, we can still prevail and overcome. And so we cannot ask for anything better than the resource person that we have this day with us, with a lot of experience, life experiences. He comes with a lot of exposure. He deals with different sectors of people. And I hope that at the end of the day, all of us have something to learn and will be encouraged to implement. I do remember a quote which says that if you are not willing to learn, no one can help you. And if you are determined to learn, no one can stop you. So the order of the day now is adaptation. How quickly we can learn things and move forward. Agility is the order of the day. So with this note, I thank the organizers once again, and I extend a hearty welcome to our resource person, Mr. Praveen Kamath of Wipro Limited. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mageshwaran sir, for your thoughts. I now request Mr. Guru Nagendra sir to read out the profile of the speaker for today. Over to you, sir.
Hi everyone. Today we are with us Mr. Praveen Kamath Kumbla is a global renowned speaker, coach and facilitator with 23 years of strategic HR and delivery experience working in large-scale manufacturing, IT and IT services company with a proven track record of leading global leadership teams, processes, projects and change management initiatives. He is currently holding a position of a general manager and head of HR for global delivery enablement of Wipro Limited, a $8 billion US company having their presence in 60 global locations, employing 170,000 employees, more than a lakh. He has been instrumental in managing the talent growth engines of Wipro, managing significant ramps to employ more than 30,000 employees across 30 global delivery centers. As one of the youngest global leaders of Wipro, he has been presented with Best Global Manager Award 2012 from Wipro Corporation, Inc. Prior to joining Wipro, he was the head of HR of Cambridge Integrated Services, Tyco Healthcare, and Jindal Praxair India Limited. His 19 years work experience includes large conglomerate to establish their setups in India, mergers and acquisitions, as well as developing young leaders, a ranker and a gold medalist. He holds a master's in social work, specialization with human resources from Mangalore University, and a diploma from ISTD New Delhi. As a passionate teacher, trainer, and a coach, he advises several medium, small-scale industries developing leadership, training, and transformation initiatives. His drive to develop young entrepreneurs, build large corporations by driving right leadership strategies and human resources frameworks continues even today. By invitation, he has been a speaker in global forums across Asia, Europe, and US. Today, I welcome you, sir, from the Department of Mechanical Engineering in association with Training and Placement of Global Academy of Technology to this webinar, sir. Over to you, Ranjit.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for sharing the details. I'm sure there are much more accomplishments of the speaker, and it is a very short introduction. Before the speaker begins, I request all the participants to mute themselves and mute their camera as well to enjoy a seamless experience. Over to you, Praveen sir.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it's a proud privilege for me to be associated with Global Academy of Technology and the group of institutions, especially the Department of Mechanical Engineering to invite me for this session. I just want to call out in case if there is a power failure and because of which I need to get disconnected, bear with me, I will rejoin immediately. And in case you are not able to hear me well, if my voice quality or my video quality goes down, please go to the chat room and type. I'll be able to view it as we speak. And some of you might have questions as I speak. Feel free to go to the chat room and ask your questions. That way, I can modulate my session to the best benefit of all of us in this group. All the views I'm going to share today is purely my own by virtue of being in the industry for last 25 years. And in the interest of the audience today, 67 of you, professors and students who joined this session, to enhance the existing landscape understanding to some of my own experiences of knowing people and working with leaders, as well as my consistent effort towards bridging the gap between industry and academia, not only being a teacher during my personal time, also being administratively responsible in the boards of engineering colleges and management schools, thereby taking away or bringing to all of us together to leverage the best-in-class practices of the industry and the skill set which is being groomed by the professors, the great professors who teach you day in, day out. That's the intent which I'm going to want to clarify today. Most of the insights might be known to you. I will certainly reinforce some of the insights which are very prevalent as far as industry is concerned. And if you don't practice them, this session may not be very helpful. I think your college, your institutions, your parents, and your ecosystem, which are known to you, unless you leverage in exercising those in practice, all these lecture sessions are absolutely of no use if you don't realize it in action for your own advantage. So you should be absolutely selfish in making sure you take away 1 or 2 points from the session and incorporate them in your day-to-day life so that you stand tall in front of many others. Given the competition has no boundaries today, and it's pretty much competitive across the globe. So you want to be competitive across the globe, and this is the way to do it. You have to realize everything which you've learned in action. With that background, I'm going to take maybe it's 11:09 now. I'm taking another 20-25 minutes for giving you some insights from my side. We will use another 20-25 minutes for question and answers. My Saturday is today in the first half is completely available. So in case it gets into spills over after 12 noon, I'm okay as long as you're okay. But the intent would be to ask a lot of questions and interact, make an interactive session rather than a monologue from my side. I'll give you what happened pre and post COVID. Mid-March, I think all of us went through a severe global crisis, which is severer than 2 other largest crises which we had in the globe in the last 100 years. So both the scale and size of the problem or this epidemic or pandemic situation could be the largest, both in scale and size. Severity-wise, highly severe, and it impacted everybody who are party to this universe. Given the size of the pandemic situation, and we being the second largest populated country, naturally it had significant impact, and this impact will continue for the economics of the country for the next 4 quarters at least, which means next 1 year you will see the impact of what we have gone through in the last 3 months, or now it's been 4 months. India as a country have done phenomenal work in terms of containing this fairly at an appropriate time to minimize the scale of impact. Given the size of our country and the population, the pandemic situation would have been a disastrous situation for all of us should that not be controlled in the last 1.5 months. While I take cognizance of our good work as a country, we are still a long way to go in terms of bouncing back the economy of the country, thereby impacting industries, organizations, people working in the organizations, and people who are going to join the organization in the days to come. From that perspective, if you look at the pyramid of industries as startups, mid-sized and large-scale organizations, the maximum impact you could see in the small scale and the mid-sized organization. People lost their jobs, visibility of business and cash flow are severely impacted. Thereby, their inability to stand tall in terms of starting their business again or operationalizing the entire production if it's an industrial setup has been a challenge for some time and will remain a challenge for next at least a quarter more until India as a country is able to find vaccination as a solution for this pandemic situation. Until then, it would be a serious trouble or severe impact for industries to get back to pre-COVID situation, both in terms of capacity, production, execution, people engagement, talent building. The industries which had severely impacted are the industries where there is direct interaction and exchange of business between individuals and the business houses. Industries such as manufacturing, airline, real estate, retail, any of these FMCG organizations, direct marketing, organizations which largely leveraging on contact with the customers, thereby administrating their value proposition in terms of business and delivering business to the larger customer audience has been severely impacted. The industry which is relatively, or the size of the industry which is relatively impacted lesser than the others would be large scale organizations which had the muscle power to stay tall, withstand the pressures of financials, and thereby minimizing the losses and thereby generating avenues to generate more revenue have been the large scale organizations because of the financial strength, and ITS organizations which are by design have the capability to operationalize their entire operations, not being in an organization setup. So working from home, as far as IT digital organizations are concerned, has been relatively easier, thereby reaching out to the customer solutions or customers' needs have been seamless to a great extent. Having said that, even these industries got impacted because ultimately they're catering to the larger sectors, sectorial organizations, those sectors which had a severe impact, whether it's consumer, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is automobile, or it's telecom. So all the industry which ITS cater to got impacted. Thereby, you will continue to see those CXOs not allowing to consume the budget for those projects which are not urgent and important. Today, the CXOs of these sectors are willing to invest in ITS kind of work only for projects which are very critical to continue with the end kind or end customers of those customers, to make sure those end customers are not getting impacted. So only those projects which are critical to IT have also been impacted by TCXUs would like to minimize those impact by allowing only those critical projects, even for IT organizations. Having said this, you might be wondering, how does this impact all of us as students of engineering background or professional skill set? What would be the hiring prospects for all of us? Do we see a change in skills in the days to come? Will my internship or my placement potential will go up or down? What is that I should be prepared with as far as my career is concerned? I think these are the moot questions you might have. If I broad-based the problem, this problem has not really impacted students' preparedness or their ability to look at their career with respect to what's happening in the world of or the world with this pandemic situation. I'm of the opinion this has not impacted those who are currently being well prepared for taking on the challenge of getting into an industry and finding a job for himself or herself. There are three categories of students which we see when we look at the landscape of professional engineering or business schools. The three categories are: the first category of people, the top 20% of the people, agnostic to what happens in the world, they will have opportunities falling on their feet and their lap, thereby their ability to get the value proposition in terms of a job or an assignment or an internship is seamless. Then comes the next set of 40% of the people who hovering around the mid-range between the 50s and the 80s or 50s and the 70s. Those people have to really work hard so that they fall into the top 20% of the academic bucket. The people who will get significantly impacted are the people who are in the lowest stack or the lower segment of people who are barely making or they're missing the passing mark by a whiskers, or they're just about qualifying themselves as an engineer by scoring between 40 to 50%. I think this set of people will have a significant problem in the days to come. They might have to really work hard to fall into the second category, if not the first, if they have their semester left for them to make up for what they've lost. I'm going to say that the middle segment have to really work really hard to fall into an academic bracket, be in the top stack of 20%, or if you want to stretch to 25% or 30%, the top stack of 30%. You have to make sure you are in that bracket. Now, what happens to those people who have done well and they want to look at career from an industry or job perspective? All the job offers given by large organizations will get delayed, but will not be denied. As far as my knowledge goes, by interacting with my own colleagues in the industry, 60 to 70% of large-scale organization who has a good sound financial strength will continue to honor the offers made in the campus for those people who are passing out in the year 2020. But it might get delayed by a quarter or even 2 quarters to start with. So to that extent, the students who are passed out will have a solid 2 quarters in their hand to be consumed or to be used. I'll come to that particular time frame and what we should do a little later. So to that extent, people who are already placed, already got a LOI, letter of intent, from large organizations, who has the financial strength to absorb these people, they will hire them with a delayed hiring dates. So it's not a worried, let's not worry about such people. The second set of people who are not got their offers, they will have a larger 3 to 4 quarters, means next 1 year in their hand to make up for their academic percentage of or marks if they are not scored well, if they are in the last or just about to finish their 7th or 8th sem, they have to make up for their ability to get into a bracket of the best in class student to qualify for next year's selection. Because the next year's selection will have no impact, because anyway campus selections will used to start in the month of August, September, November for next year's selection. Will get delayed by another maximum by quarter. Thereby, the peak will happen from December to March in most of the companies. You know, the so-called volume hiring campus recruiters. So to that extent, for the top stack of students for the current year and the next year, I think you have some time in your hand to consume and to maximize the time. The people who are currently not being in the top bracket, they're in the second bucket, have to really focus on qualifying themselves to be at the top, do some certification, additional qualification, do certification as recommended by your professors outside of your college, take up internship with those industries without pay, so that you can do a project for that industry sitting at home, taking secondary data, wait for an opportunity to go to an industry and work with such industries free of cost, or when I say free of cost, without expecting any salary for next 6 months to 1 year. Thereby, leverage this 1 year as a period for you to upskill yourself, thereby making sure your futuristic employer is willing .
Praveen sir, sorry to interrupt you. I think we lost your audio.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, you're back now. Please continue.
Okay. So what I'm saying, work with those industries without any expectation of salary, or take an internship, take a project working from home for those industries. Both people who are passing out now and going to pass out next year, so that there is familiarity between you and that employer. How do you do it? You can do it by talking to those alums who have passed out from your college for the last 5 years. You can talk to all your uncle aunts who are best in class positions in the industry. People who are able to reasonably understand you and your capabilities in your friend circle, in your family circles. Take up certifications which are well known, which are current as far as your specialization is concerned. For example, mechanical engineering, do you have a qualification in vibration analysis? Can you learn a specialized skill set in terms of doing something in the oil industries are struggling to do? In the automobile sector, if there are certifications in the electrical car segment, can you think of projects which you can research, make a research paper on areas which are the latest areas when it comes to the best-in-class universities in the world? Go to those university website and see what are the type of projects they are doing, the students are doing, which are published in their websites. Coursera courses and Udemy courses are well known to all of you. Please pick up all those basic courses. It doesn't cost you anything. Strengthen your basics, right? Mathematical skills, your ability to derive, your ability to have the basics right. All your basics, strengthen it in the 3 to 6 months time frame which you have now. Now, what I'm saying is very simple solutions, but it's very hard to implement. As simple as, can you make yourself fairly confident in the first 2 questions asked by the interviewer? If somebody asks you, explain me Ohm's law, will you be seamlessly able to explain the Ohm's law with an example where a recruiter who's not understanding science even can understand? Will you make an effort to articulate that way? Is your communication skills are sharp enough to communicate what you've learned in your engineering college? Are you able to give some examples when you impress on getting an internship project from working from home? You're working on that internship, but you want to win that internship by having a conversation with someone who is willing to give you that project. And there is a time frame available after your college hours or your assignment hours. Are you willing to spend the midnight oil doing work on those areas which are freely accessible in the universe for you to access? There is something called Topcoder. It's for all IT professionals. It's a freely available opportunity for you to look at coding as a mechanism to earn revenue for yourself. Are you in instrumentation department? You're students of instrumentation, or you are students of ENC. What is the latest in the field of UNC, which is the university who's doing significant amount of research in that area? I think university landscape, certification landscape from Coursera, Udemy, your networking landscape of your alums, your friends, your colleagues, your uncles, your aunts, your family members who are in that industry. Career websites of companies where they're willing to give you some scholarship and take up some opportunity. Your best known friends who are willing to work on a module or a startup, working on a startup model. Are you willing to spend your time with such people? So you have to think of all wild areas to leverage your time to capitalize for the next 6 months to 8 months in case you don't land up with an opportunity. The skill sets are well known to you. A free-flowing conversation with your interested professors, and No offense to any professors, but there are some professors in the college who take a real good interest in you as an individual. They may not take interest with many others, but they have a likability towards you as a student because of certain qualities you exhibit. Are you able to build that rapport with that professors and ask him or her the areas which you can enhance on? You know, many times we have the capability, we don't know where we have to invest our capability, our skill set, our efforts are. So will you be able to spend that quality time with that professor? Quality time with that superlative senior student of yours who passed out and he started a startup, who's struggling. Can you go and give a hand to him? Can you join him? Ask him whether I can help you. So I think those are the quality you should exhibit. Of course, you should exhibit the good quality of communication skills, articulation skills, able to present your view, be crisp, set your basics right, and have inordinate amount of passion to be mad at an objective of learning during this free time. I'm saying this is the free time primarily because students mess with their time using their social media, Facebook, Instagram, and many other social network which is there with you. Each one of you spend 4 to 5 hours wasting your time on this. And the same media, if you leverage it to your advantage, there are tons of opportunities from the social media which you can leverage for your learning. You know, there is something called LinkedIn Learning. You go to those websites, there are enough amount of videos available for you to learn. If you are on Instagram or if you have a Twitter account, there are enough people you can connect with. There are enough video shows which are happening in your field of specialization. In fact, I'm seeing in the last 6 months, for my own family purpose, there are enough number of educative sessions on areas outside of education also. They're just canvassing for. It could be fine art. Okay, so what I'm saying is, in your own spectrum, in your own area of specialization, leverage your social media to your advantage and space out your day to ensure you upskill yourself. The alternative, not the alternative, complementing this effort, I think you should also build your hobby skills to enhance your capability. Now, I'm telling you this primarily because to today's generations which are sitting in this lecture session are those kids who are extremely talented. I must compliment the talent each one of you bring. But most of our talent is not channelized properly. Now, you pick up a fight with your parents when they suggest you something. You pick up a fight with your professors. You just don't have an ability to accept if there is an elderly person gives you suggestion. I think this attitude you should change. Because if there are people who bring in that many rainy seasons, they have come here to advise you after seeing so many rainy seasons, right? They understand the value proposition of life. Please have acceptance of what they are telling you. And then refine those thoughts, take up 1 or 2 or 3 good ideas and build on complementary skills. Now, let me explain these complementary skills in my own style, and at the cost of repetition, I will repeat this example. And I've been repeating this example for several years now, and I'm very fascinated with this example. Your generation is a generation with multi-skill talent, multi-skill ability. Your abilities are multi-pronged. You don't have one skill, you have multiple skills to be leveraged for your advantage. For example, You can start your day with your RJing skills. You may be a very good RJ by design. You may be an engineer, doesn't matter. Harsha Bogle is an IME grad. He's doing commentary. Okay, so you might start your day at 6 o'clock by being an RJ, thereby leveraging your RJing skills. At around 11 o'clock, you come back home. At around 12, you go to a hotel and you play your sophisticated guitar in a 5-star hotel, thereby campaigning for your customers. Evening, you come back home at around 3 o'clock, you take rest, and 4 o'clock, you take assignments online for writing content for a techno commercial opportunity of a German company. You also have German skills, so you write technical papers. It's called content writing. And you finish your day by being a fan commentator for a European football match. It is agnostic of place. You decide the future of the game in that 90 minutes. You get certain spots to speak, and if your analysis is accurate, you get paid for that analysis. So what happens if you look at that person? That person has 4 skills. Morning, he goes and does his RJing job. He gets paid on a monthly basis. Afternoon, he goes and plays his guitar in a 5-star hotel where he gets paid per hour. Evening, he leverages his English skills to write content writing per page. He gets earned per page. And in the evening, his passion for football gives him its ability to earn through judging the game well in advance, thereby earning those dollars or pounds. In a nutshell, all of us bring in multi-layered skills. Do we leverage to our advantage by being deep in that area? You may be an artist. Are you leveraging your art skills? You may be a craftist by doing crafts on a chalk piece. You might be a great speed painter like Vilas Nayak. You might be a good architect of agriculture, which is being followed by your family for several years. Can you think of doing something in the agriculture sector? What I'm trying to impress, while you have done one engineering qualification, it's important that you complement your other skills during this tough times, to leverage or take advantage of sharpening those skills. May not be materialistically earning every time, but it can give you strength to sharpen it. And I did this as a student fairly recently well. My teaching started when I was a student in 11th standard. My ability to do social work started way back in when I was a high school student. My ability to play an art form of instrumental tabla and being an All India radio artist at the age of 13. So I used to give programs in the evening. I accompanied the best-in-class singers, including the well-known names which are known to you in Bangalore. As a child prodigy, I played tabla for them. And when the time permitted, I used my selling skills by selling naturotherapy books. Now, those days, you might call today this is gig economy, and gig economy should leverage these skill sets. Those days, nobody told us. It was primarily with a motto to earn a little more money for the family to be supported. In turn, without my knowledge, I acquired 3-4 good skill set, which holistically helped me to be a world leader, HR leader, right? Very early in life. So what I'm trying to summarize here is, whether it is COVID or no COVID, Your preferred skill to enhance your knowledge largely depends on you to capitalize on the time available for you, given a low season now, both from a standpoint of academic rigor or classes, or it's a low time. You will not be able to whale out time going out of your houses. Okay. So I don't want to give you any more career awareness there. Focus on your studies, be the best, enhance your academic skill set from time to time. Make sure you leverage your networks with all those 4 or 5 line items I said, connecting with alum, friends, family, people, relatives who are in best-in-class positions. Leverage all those networking, certification through Udemy and Coursera. Make sure you build a friendship with a startup organization or a mid-sized organization who is willing to give you some work from home, free of cost work, and then leverage your other skills to complement the mainstream direction you have when it comes to your skills. So I think if you are able to do these 4 or 5 things by counting the hours in a day, by leveraging the hours for your advantage, by being superlatively selfish. To that extent, my father used to say, "You're the only one studied in life." He used to get bothered when I used to get up at 3 o'clock, standing in front of the mirror to practice communication skills, because I came from a vernacular medium, and I was the first one in the village to learn computer science as my mainstream qualification way back in the year 93 actually, when I enrolled for my computer science course. So I used to do a lot of things without the knowledge of the world, and to an extent the entire world, including your family, may not be supporting you. Don't become slave to social media. Make your social media as your slave. Make sure you leverage social media to your advantage, to build the network, to enroll to a program, seeing a program online, understanding, enrolling for a webinar which is done by the best-in-class university. Make the social media, social connect, the mobility which you have by being in one place, using technology, leverage it to your advantage and be selfish. Leverage your 16 hours a day to your advantage. Having said that, I just want to close on a couple of other suggestions for students. I can do a dedicated hour for the college professors and administrators who are not doing anything about it really. I'm sorry to be very candid here. I don't think the administrators of the college or the professors of the college have done anything significantly different to upskill or upgrade student community besides doing academic rigor, because that's the norm in India, right? Academic, and this I say being on the boards of some of these engineering colleges and as an advisor to those colleges. I have a set of discussion points which I will not deal with today in this discussion, because that's not the topic which has been given to me. But there are a lot of work which college can do. But as students, and this topic is primarily this subject and this opportunity for me to talk to you as students, right? I want to talk to you as students, and you should be selfish. Don't blame the world around. Don't blame your professors and your institute and your parents. You are responsible for your own funeral. If there is a natural death by not studying well, not being in the best in class category, ultimately you are the loser, nobody else. So don't stop the blame game, leverage the time for your advantage by making everybody else slave to you, to make technology as your slave, content as slave, ability to network with your people and utilize them selfishly to your advantage. When you stand tall, when you do all this, you stand tall. And then you can tell people, these are the 10 things I did for myself to leverage my time, my ability, my skills, my network. Finally, I just want to spend some time. Please spend time on your health. Today's generation has completely ignored health. Half of the time we all eat packed food, packed items. The number of carton boxes which you buy when you buy something from any shop or any large malls, you will come to know you are eating a lot of chemicals. Make sure what you eat is known to you. Hope you are not eating poison, because most of the time all carton boxes are filled with chemicals which are not good for health. Starting from a Coke which you eat, a drink, or the idlis you buy from, idli batter you buy from A or a B company. Okay, know what you eat. Eat in limits. Hita and Mita. As Dr. Keshav used to tell me, B.M. Hegde used to say this in most of his sessions. Hita and Mita, what you eat, how much you eat should be known. And you should relax and rest reasonably well, but exercise at least for 40 minutes to 1 hour. And that exercise should be solid exercising. I might be double than your age. You won't believe every day I climb 100 floors. You might be asking 100 floors ka building nahi hai Bangalore mein. Kya bol raha hai aadmi? I have a 15-floor building. I climbed 7 times. 105 is the number of floors I climbed. And I made sure my 13-year-old child also is able to equally compete with me. And sometimes we run in one go the 15th floor. And by the time I reach 15th floor, I'm nearly dead. That's a different issue. But your ability to be competitive physically gives you an edge of mental agility. Your mental agility is directly proportional to your physical agility. If you are good at doing floor exercises, do floor exercises. If you're good at yoga, I'm going step by step. These are difficult and most difficult, right? Yoga, great. If you still can do meditation, wow, you become God. So that's the pyramid, right? So then you need not do, your entire yoga can take care of all physical exercise. And you should do sincere yoga, okay? This is not stylish yoga. Sincere yoga, and it can be learned from any unassumingly good yoga teacher. You don't need a sophisticated certified yoga teacher for this. I think the day you are physically fit, you're mentally fit. When you're mentally fit, it corroborates to your physical fitness. I will pause here. I think I've gone through several segments of topics today. If you have any questions, please do ask in the chat room. I'm more than happy, or you can unmute yourself and ask questions. And I will not feel bad if you ask me any embarrassing question.
Thank you, Mr. Praveen sir, for sharing your thoughts for so long. If I have to condense for the participants on what you have thrown light upon, it is the assurance of the job offers that are being provided by the organizations, and then the students need not worry about it. And the second point which you shared was to upskill oneself and to learn to influence people within the couple of minutes. And by influencing, I mean it is with knowledge and not with the swagness of the physical presence. And take up some certifications, Coursera, Udemy, etc. Incidentally, I would like to take this opportunity to share with you, sir, that Global Academy of Technology has associated with Coursera to provide certification courses for students at zero cost. Moving on, you also touched upon enhancing yourself as a student and be mad for learning, using social media in a positive way for networking instead of in a negative way, and having a good attitude of accepting the corrections on the error made by the people around us, and grab with both hands, which are things which are complementary. Usually as a human being, we have this habit, anything we see complementary, we just go check upon it. And the same attitude should hold good for the skills as well, and develop good content writing skills. And once we do all this, we would certainly stand tall amongst the other people. You also dealt with the health. It wrote upon how Carton Box doesn't buy health. We stand by it. The floor is open to the questions. I'm not sure if the chat box is enabled for the guests, but if you can unmute yourselves one by one, maybe we can take up about 4 to 5 questions. Anybody?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible. Please introduce yourself and the question, please.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Prashant. I'm a professor at Global Academy of Technology, Department of Mechanical Engineering. Thanks for your very nice talk, sir. Really very energetic and a lot of provocating words to the students. Just a small question from my side. Sir, how do you actually feel that a student should get enabled to the Industry 4.0? It's a complete era of digital automation, digital manufacturing happening all across the globe. What should a mechanical engineering undergraduate student have as a skill set if he wants to enter into the portals of Industry 4.0? Just to add on, they do learn a lot of courses during the regular 4 years of time, but small significant areas of Industry 4.0 which they could get certified. If you can throw some light upon that, sir.
Sure. Primarily, specializations run on a horizontal called digitization. So digital can cut across any of the segments of the industry, whether it is mechanical, electrical, electronics, instrumentation, any of the segment. So your ability to do, for example, a course on big data, a course on AML, a course on data science, BI and BI, or learning something in cloud platform, even taking up design courses, new design courses available in the world, cognitive design courses, which are available in some of these best-in-class universities. I have set up courses which is available. I can send it to you separately. There are courses which can make architecture, integration, design, and of course, consulting. So if you take digital space itself, and of course the AMS. So whether it's DevOps, AMS, architecture, cloud, consulting, integration, design, are there any of these courses which you take, which primarily talks about modernization? It primarily talks about usability in the new context. It also talks about business integration from the industry which you are currently leveraging to your advantage. And then you have other end user services which are available, which you need to pick up. Now, the set of courses which you pick up at a given point in time should have, or how do you choose those courses? Let me tell you, you should have the depth of the course which you are currently doing extremely well. If your basics in mechanical engineering is good, building digital capability on top of this becomes easy as long as you are able to understand the new age cognitive architecture integration skills. Now, these certifications, whether it is architecture, integration, cognitive skills, neural networks, any one of these which are available in the market, you should learn it and you should have the capability to apply to your mechanical engineering. Mechanical engineering by design can't change so rapidly, but the application of the mechanical engineering which you've learned will change because you use digital space to leverage to your advantage. I think that's more important than simply taking up a course which will just certify you. Applicability is important. Leveraging a course program which can leverage your existing strength is more important. So in case you need a specific guidelines or lesson plan or certification program for mechanical engineering, students, I can send you separately. But the theme here I just want to impress is, can you leverage these digital courses by applying your mechanical engineering degree in the right context of the industry you want to go and join, or you wish to build your career for? That's more important.
Sir, I think you have hit the nail right on the head of trying to choose the industry where you want to work to, where you want to progress your career into, and then develop the skills required for that particular industry. I mean that's a tried and tested model in most of the European countries where I've seen. So thank you very much for all of your thoughts. I have got a significant reply to my question, sir. Thank you very much. Pleasure talking to you, sir.
Thank you.
Praveen sir, there is one question in the chat box. I'm not sure whether you're able to see it. The question reads, what is your opinion on the online internships?
I have no opinion. You have to lobby. You have to impress on the person whom you are going to get these projects. You should ensure that you are building value for that particular person or that industry. You should have enough skills to, prove that your existing skills can help value add to the project he or she is giving you. If you're able to make that pitch very well for yourself, for example, when I say pitch, what are the top 4 skills which can build your capability on? Can I impress on these skill sets? Can you impress on these skill sets? Are you able to impress in that conversation that I'm here to volunteer to help you, rather than expecting that person who's sitting across the table to tell you what you should do? You should reverse the conversation to tell the interviewer or the person you want to pitch. It's like marketing your skill set, right? Marketing your job. You can market well when you know very well what you're good at. Half of the time we expect the world to know what we know and the world to tell us what they want. You reverse the logic. Say what you are good at, and impress on him. Do you have ability to leverage your capability? That's the only way to win internship. And I used to do that in my college life, right? I will go from place to industry to give me a hobby project on the in our summer time, right? Summer vacation time. And I will always impress on them, telling them, in your company, I can do these jobs. Likewise, you should know online what is my capability. You as an individual, I can really do, and then search and map the organizations where you can leverage those capabilities. People don't do this homework. People are extremely lethargic to do this homework. If you're able to do this homework well, I think you're capable enough to earn an internship, online internship.
Thank you, sir. The next question reads, as a fresh graduate, how does the certified courses help us get into the jobs, especially the IT sector?
IT sector, learn coding, learn programming, write in Java code. Basics have to be absolutely good. So as long as you are able to do basics well, and from a novice to an expert, you should be. If you're really aiming for joining IT company, if you're a good code writer, if you're having good development skills or programming skills, the only problem is we think that programming is nothing but 4 codes which you copy from Google and then replicate that, omit that in an exam. That's not coding. Coding is, you should upskill yourself from a novice, from a naive guy to an expert every day. So you should, it's like capability building, right? You should be an expert. You should start with Ranji. But someday you should play 1 day test matches and 2020 international matches. You can't remain in a district level cricket match, right? You should aim for bigger matches only by building those capability, right? And all these great players, artists in this world, sports people, people who have created records, they do the same thing million times to get that accuracy right. I know it for myself. In the 13th year, when I went to the All India Radio for audition, people thought that I'm a person to carry the tabla of the artist. And in fact, the security guard asked me, "Where is the artist?" I said, "I'm the artist. I'm not the person who's carrying the bag." Let me tell you, in my village, there was no television. Maybe coincidence. 8 hours a day, my dad made me practice. That's how I could do 13th year an audition, thereby being an All India Radio artist. At the age of, I think, 34 or 35, I was a global head of a function of a large organization. At the age of 26, 27, I was the head of HR of a function. It's all about hard working. You can't look smart unless you work hard. You work harder and harder, you look luckier and luckier. You become luckier and luckier. You look smarter and smarter. There is no value proposition. People who have achieved accolades in this universe have done one thing, the same thing, million times. That's very boring. That's very simple. That's why it's tough. It's not gospel at all, right? It's very boring. It's very, very simple, but it's very difficult to execute.
The next question, sir, I've summarized. These are asked from various participants. What are the opportunities for the mechanical engineering as a core branch at this point of time in terms of job opportunities?
So, the landscape has not changed. Whatever landscape you had opportunity, there is a delayed decision to hire people. Don't feel that we've lost, it's a doomsday. All the sectors which hire mechanical engineering, which is manufacturing industry, process industry, automobile industry, any of these industries which continually hire people will continue to hire. There is a delay in the decision. So don't get into this conversation of no scope for mechanical engineering. Whatever scope you had, will continue to have, agnostic to pre or post-COVID. That's still there. Just that because of the industry status today, there will be a delay of 3 or 6 months. Only for those people initially, top stack, the top of the stack of your class, of your pyramid, the top 20% will get absorbed like this very quickly. The balance of the stack will have some difficulty. They might take another 3 more months to get themselves qualified. That's why I said, use this time to additionally qualify yourself and add on to your skills. And this is a conversation which students should have with professors. They should sit with the professors and ask, I bring in these are the skill set, what I can complement. Many times we go with the world proposition. It's good to have the world view, but it is your decision to take the right path. And the right path can be given by your professor or the best in class uncle and aunt and a friend who can give you those insights. Okay, so anything else, team?
Maybe the last question, sir. It is disheartening to see a lot of jobs lost during the pandemic times. How do we gear up morally to be ready for this situation?
Let me tell you, this is a very, it is a self-resigning statement. Who builds your morale? It's okay if there are natural deaths, there are epidemics, there are pandemic situations, but you're still alive, right? You as an individual is still alive. Who asked you to kill your morale? Reverse the value proposition and say, here is an opportunity for me to leverage and utilize my time. I don't like this word. I don't have mood. I think my life has come to a standstill. Tomorrow is a doomsday. Industry is not. Let me tell you, in the year 1996, when I passed out, there is only one company which came for the campus. Only one company. And that's the company I joined. I got selected. What I'm saying is, it's very easy to self-resign to the fact that the world has come to a standstill. The alternative thought is, this is the time for me to leverage my existing skill set and be the best. So I think these, these moral boosters, my moods have come down because the world has come to a standstill. To a great extent, these are the derailers for your thinking. It's okay, you will have a bad day, and the bad day continues for 3 months, 6 months. It doesn't mean that your entire 50 years of active life has come to a standstill. It is not. You'll have a bad day, you'll have a bad year. It's okay. Are you doing anything about it? Is the question you should ask, rather than asking, morale and my moods have come down and people are not liking me. What have you done about it?
Thank you for your thoughts, sir. I would request Mr. Gurunagenda, sir, to take up the closing remarks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Praveen, sir, for your valuable insights into the engineering education and in fact, the employment opportunities for the students post-COVID. It's very, very interesting, the various terms you used, especially the word leverage. Leverage is very, very paramount nowadays for the students to, make use of these benefits of social media and, upskill themselves. Very interesting thoughts from your side, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable insights. At the outset, I also like to thank our management of Global Academy of Technology, respected principal, Dr. N. Rana Pratap Reddy, sir, our beloved HOD, Dr. T. Krishna Rao, sir, for their support and encouragement in organizing this webinar. I also like to thank our training and placement head, Professor Mageshwaran, for his valuable support in guiding us through this seminar. I also take this opportunity to thank Mrs. Dakshani, who has initiated this process. Thank you, Dakshani. I also take this opportunity to thank our team members, Mr. Ranjit and Mr. Ravi Kirti, who are all worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make this webinar successful. I also like to thank all the participants and the budding and prospective engineers to inculcate whatever you have thought, at least by certain percent, so that they can really move over this particular crisis and convert this crisis into opportunity. Once again, thank you one and all. Stay safe and stay positive. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Gurunagenda, sir. Before we disperse for the day, some guidelines for the participants. You would all receive a link for the feedback to your mails by the end of the day. Please do take up the feedback and provide your inputs. Once you give the feedback, you would also get your e-certificates to your mail in next couple of days. Thank you. Thank you, Praveen, sir.
So, small question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hello, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir. Please introduce yourself and question, please.
I am faculty from Department of Mechanical Engineering, Alepa.
Sir, your question, please.
Yeah, this question is related to, again, mechanical students or mechanical graduates. So as you can see in the present COVID-19 situation, many of the students who are willing to choose an engineering background, choose an engineering branch, and many of the parents are thinking about whether mechanical engineering students will do the work from home in the future or not, because many of the students or parents are thinking to shift from mechanical stream to the computer oriented programs. So how will you convince as a parent to choose a mechanical branch?
Sorry, sir. Probably the speaker has some issues with the internet. we may take this question offline. But otherwise, thank you all for the participants. Thank you for joining us and giving us your time for the day. Thank you all.
Thank you.